This video has been brought to you by the CuriosityStream Smart Bundle, now featuring exclusive content from, well, me. We'll talk more about that later. I can't sleep. We've all been there, some more than others. The term insomnia came about in the 1700s and is used to describe a state of sleeplessness, but more so today describes a broad set of sleeping disorders. With 1/3 of all adults having reported insomnia symptoms at some time in their lives, it's a widespread issue. For most, insomnia is only a temporary issue induced by illness or stress, but 6 to 10% of all adults in first world countries have symptoms severe enough to diagnose them with insomnia disorder. The inability to sleep healthily, but suffering tiredness all the same. Insomnia is unsurprisingly linked to lower quality of life, depression, and anxiety. Many might consider insomnia just one of a plethora of biologically based mental illnesses, and while for a few that is the case, I'm here to make the argument that for most insomniacs, our sleeplessness is induced by our culture. Now, I'm not saying it's an Australian thing to not sleep, but instead I'm describing a broader culture found in all developed nations in the world. In the few remaining non-industrialized societies, chronic insomnia is only found in 1 to 2% of adults, and if we dig into our own histories, we can find that the way we slept pre-industrial and post-industrial are quite different. The preferred modern treatment of insomnia is the practice of good sleep hygiene. However, these treatments are only sought after insomnia has already become ingrained. In our pre-industrial past, before the invention of artificial lighting and central heating, humans were strongly tied to a circadian rhythm. When we woke up and when we fell asleep was dictated by our need to take advantage of the sunlight and heat of the daytime. Our ancestors cultivated a series of cultural, sensory, and environmental cues, including familiar sounds, visions, and smells that would induce drowsiness. Many Western cultures included evening rituals of spiritual contemplation and the use of sedative herbal remedies such as henbane, lavender, and mandrake root. Communities slept at night and woke during the morning with little deviation. Sleep was a celebrated phenomenon. Quoting Shakespeare's Scottish play, sleep was the balm of hurt minds and the chief nourisher in life's feast. Though it must be said, some did practice vaguely nocturnal habits in the past. In diaries and literature of the early modern period, there are references of biphasic sleep, where individuals would sleep in 2 segments, some practices even being awake after midnight. Ooh. Their cultures would generally view this as a form of watchfulness, and it wasn't seen as a good thing or a bad thing. In fact, biphasic sleep is still a well-practiced tradition in many cultures, see siestas in Spain or tarsila in Egypt. It is not, however, a marker of insomnia. Sleeplessness is likely to have been more temporary in pre-industrial society where the sleep environment was so regularized. It stands in contrast to the 21st century's internet and technology, where our online identities subsist 24/7, sleeplessly and continuously. And yes, I'm talking to all you Americans that message me at 3 in the morning. So how has this transition exactly happened? How has our society changed to view sleeplessness over time? Well, thankfully, due to actual historians doing actual research, we can find observations on sleeplessness as early as the classical period. Plato believed that long sleep was inconsistent with sophistication, dictating that a citizen should sleep less than their slaves. He viewed sleep as dead time, obstructing the conduction of business. The same view persisted in later works. Shakespeare expressed in his work that a full night's rest was a luxury a king could not afford given his political responsibility. Uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. Long nights and little sleep was not viewed as the symptoms of a disorder, but instead the marker of an individual's importance and unique responsibilities. The romanticization of sleeplessness extended into the industrial period. Poets associated being awake at night with intellectual creativity, a freedom of imagination, and the refusal of industrial society. For William Blake, walking restlessly at night while ordinary people were fast asleep became a symbolic means of challenging the diurnal world of industrial production that he abhorred. There's a delicious irony in that, however, as it was the very same industrial world that made artificial light possible, allowing for extended work hours and the abuse of the working class long into the night. It's most likely for that reason that a couple centuries on, there is much less countercultural prestige in involuntary sleeplessness. The modern world's working class is very familiar with the struggles of insomnia, and as my source in The Lancet puts it, uneasy lies the head forced to devise excuses for the bank. The shift in perspective from sleeplessness being a trait of important persons to that of a neurotic worker is best exemplified in the emergence of the term insomniac, as a noun, as a person. It emerged in the late 19th century as articles and stories began to tell of the hopeless insomniac. It became the understanding that our sleep and wakefulness, well defined from birth, could be affected deeply by the lifestyles we're subjected to. As society increased its development and production, it underestimated our need for sleep, and unfortunately it still does. I wasn't born an insomniac, but through my life in education, work, and my struggles with mental illness, I've yet to have a normal unmedicated sleep since primary school. Insomnia is still an issue that both I and society has yet to rectify. I apologize for months of silence and waiting, but as a society, we must make our health and our quality of lives a priority over our production. Sleep and sleeplessness cannot be fully understood outside of the historical and cultural context in which they are experienced. We could maybe even stand to learn something from our pre-industrial past, with its sleep-embracing rituals and acceptance of transient sleeplessness to combat the modern day's pandemic of insomnia. Good night. If you're still awake though, any chance you'd be interested in some more content? Well, over on Nebula, you can right now go over and watch my exclusive 16-minute video going into the history of Assassin's Creed 2. You know, the good one. Me and other creators such as HBomberGuy, Wendover, Lindsay Ellis, Tierzoo, and a whole lot of other people I wish liked me are all creating content that we couldn't do on YouTube, such as featuring our video libraries ad-free and creating exclusive originals for the service. I plan on doing a whole lot more videos going over history and video games for the platform, and this has all been made possible thanks to CuriosityStream's Smart Bundle. The Smart Bundle is a new subscription service featuring 6 streaming platforms: CuriosityStream, Nebula, SOMM TV, Tastemade, Topic, and One Day University. The bundle covers hundreds of genres, from CuriosityStream's thousands of documentaries, to SOMM TV and Tastemade's exploration of wine, cooking, food and travel, to Topic's array of foreign drama, thrillers and noirs, and One Day University's live and on-demand lectures. One suggestion from CuriosityStream is the doco Science of Sleep. It's called Curious Minds, the Science of Sleep, because it covers the science of sleep. Did I say that yet? You can support your favourite independent creators, get tons of new content to watch from little old me to some of the best professionally produced content out there for only $39 and 89 US cents a year. So to see more content on those platforms and to support more content coming out on here, consider going to the link smartbundle.com/featurehistorysb. It's a really cool thing to do, coming from me, old cool guy man. A huge thank you to everyone, to my patrons, to the sponsor, to my subscribers for all your patience and all your support and the huge time it took to finally get back into it and create some hopefully pretty good stuff. You know, it's not always that a content creator can just take a breather and work on themselves, but you guys have supported me through all of it, so a big thank you. And of course, I have to say a great deal of this video is based on an article written by Kimberley Whitehead and Matthew Beaumont in The Lancet, Insomnia, a Cultural History. It was completely integral to being able to see what the research was and was a really enlightening read, so if you like what I had to say, go read the source. And once again, good night. Sleep tight, enjoy that shit, it's really important.